American soccer fans, welcome to episode 178 of the USA Soccer Cast. We're bringing you everything about the U.S. national teams, the players, the leagues, and everything else that impacts the game of soccer in these United States. I'm Donald Wine. It is Monday, March 16th, 2026. And yes, we officially now have the new U.S. Soccer home and away jerseys. The U.S. men's national team will debut them when they take on Belgium on the 28th and Portugal on the 31st, with both of those matches taking place at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. The U.S. women's national team will also wear these jerseys starting with their window next month that includes 3 matches against Japan. And each of the 27 national teams run by the U.S. Soccer Federation will wear these jerseys. We have a great interview coming up after the break with Maribeth Towers, who is the Vice President of Consumer Products for U.S. Soccer. We're going to dive into some of the process behind these jerseys coming to life. But before we do that, let's discuss these jerseys. They are what we have seen. What we've seen on the internet, what's been rumored on the internet for weeks now. But we now have some of the official details about this jersey. So we'll begin with the home jersey, which is a red and white undulating hoop design that is meant to mimic a waving U.S. flag. Exactly what you've kind of seen online. That design flows across the front of the jersey and onto the back bottom hem as well. The main part of the back of the jersey is plain white. That obviously falls within FIFA regulations for the name and number that goes on the back. And on the front, the U.S. Soccer crest is on the left chest. There is a navy sleeve cuff and collar to bring it all together. On the inside of the neck is slogan, the best of US, the best of us. And that is kind of their slogan that they're running with for these jerseys. That home jersey will be paired with navy shorts. We turn to the away jersey, which is a different type of navy. It's more, Nike calls it obsidian. It's more of a midnight navy jersey. It's not black as people were kind of hinting at online. It is a navy, midnight navy jersey with sublimated stars all around it. The U.S. Soccer crest is even taking part in this theme with a muted design by having a monochrome midnight navy crest with a metallic silver outline to match the jersey. The Nike swoosh is also in metallic silver, and there's a red line that starts mid-shoulder and goes kind of around and connects on the back of the jersey around the collar. The jersey is going to be paired with matching midnight navy shorts that look to be a different navy, as I mentioned, than the ones for the home jersey. The last thing I'll mention about both jerseys, and obviously there's articles, they're going to have an article on Stars and Stripes FC. You're obviously going to see them online. But the last thing about both jerseys is that they will have, for the first time, they'll have bespoke fonts for their name and number sets that is separate from the rest of the Nike templates. It ties into this Stars and Stripes theme that's incorporated in the jersey numbers. And the way to connect them all is that the home jersey, the waving undulating flag jersey, will have the stars font, while the muted away jersey that has the supplemented stars will have a stripes font. So it kind of brings the two jerseys together in a cohesive way. The jerseys are now on sale in unisex women's and youth sizes. For unisex, the size ranges from extra small to 3XL. So if you're making your purchase today, consider using our affiliate links for either Fanatics or Lids. Your purchase will also help benefit the show, but we look forward to seeing these jerseys on the field later this month in Atlanta. We're going to take a quick break. As I mentioned, we will talk with U.S. Soccer's Maribeth Towers on the other side. More jersey talk after this. Hey everyone, are you looking for the latest gear for your U.S. national teams, Major League Soccer, the NWSL, or any other team in the world of soccer? The USA Soccer Cast has affiliate partnerships that are ready to help you out. Head to linktree.com/USA Soccer Cast, where we have links to Homage, Fanatics, the MLS Store, and Breaking Team. You can get the jersey, shirt, hat, or accessory you're looking for to support your team, while also saving some money and helping this show in the process. Again, linktree.com/USA Soccer Cast. Click on the links and get your gear. And we thank you as always for your support of the show. We are back, and it is more Jersey Talk. As I mentioned, we continue our discussion of the new U.S. jerseys that were released this morning by Nike and U.S. Soccer. And we have a special interview with someone who has been a part of this design process for the better part of 2 years. I recently sat down with Maribeth Towers, the Vice President of Consumer Products for U.S. Soccer, to discuss these jerseys, what went into the design process, how player feedback shaped the design, and ultimately how they ended up with these two designs for the jersey. We get some great insight into everything. And I wanted to talk to her about what they hope these jerseys will represent and what the legacy of the World Cup should be. So, with that, here's that interview with Maribeth Towers. Let's just get started with the process of how you arrived at these jerseys. I know that this is usually a lengthy process, but how long did this design process take? And who were the main stakeholders that kind of were involved in this?
Yeah. So the normal process is 2 years. So as an example, we just briefed into Nike about probably 3, 4 weeks ago, the our input for the 2028 kits, right? So that's the normal timelines. This one, Nike started a little bit earlier with us. So I want to say that it was more like there was at least 3 or 4 months ahead of that, right? So instead of starting it like February, March, we started it the fall before. So it was probably more like 2.5 years, give or take. And then in terms of who's involved in it, it is obviously the Nike design team. So there's usually two designers involved, in which case there was for this one. And then they also have merchandising, groups and so on. So there's a little team on their side for the jerseys. And then on our side, it is Alyssa Charger, who's my senior director of licensing. And so she manages the Nike relationship from a product development standpoint, she and her team. And then we also deeply involve our marketing and brand and comms folks on our side, right? So that there's a holistic U.S. soccer marketing lens that's also applied to it. And then most recently, oh gosh, that was probably the third set of jerseys. I'd have to go back and look, where we have deeply involved the players very directly in terms of inputs and so on. Yeah.
With the players, and I get it, right? We're going to talk mostly about the Men's World Cup this summer.
Yeah.
But how much was the U.S. women's national team involved in this? Because I believe they're going to be wearing this too, correct?
Yes, they were. And it was funny because we invited them and they all passed and kind of said, this is their year. And interestingly, the flip side happened for 27 when we did the intake, a year or so ago for the 27 kids. We invited all the men's players. They also said, we'll let the women do it. So it was very funny. It's almost like they just were like, this is their World Cup. Let them do it. We'll be happy with whatever the outcome is.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that kind of camaraderie. And I know from jerseys past that both of them have had collaborations. So it's cool that in a World Cup year, they're like, stage is yours. Let's do your thing.
Yeah, it was very funny.
So what was the general feedback from the players? Because it's one thing for me, right? I'm a fan. I love these jerseys. Yeah. It's one thing for me to buy them and wear them. It's yet another for them to feel like when they put on that jersey, when they walk out on the field to actually play, that they are wearing something that they feel represents them as a team. What was their general feedback throughout this process of these jerseys?
So again, there were at least 3 touch points along the way. There was the initial intake. At one point, the two designers came back out and they had fabric samples and color samples and whatever. They made them do that process. Then there was the CAD art. They reviewed that and then they finally saw the final kits. So all in, there was at least 4 touch points. And the group of players changed slightly each time just because it depends on who was in that camp, right?
Right.
Who got right for that particular match. But there was the dark kit had a bit of a redo from the time that they saw the CAD art. The light kit, they had a few choices, right, in terms of like details on it. They ended up all agreeing on the one that you see. And then the dark kit in that CAD art stage, the designers ended up having to go back and really kind of redo it, not completely, but pretty significantly. So when they presented the jerseys to the players, this was a couple months back now, uh, they actually applauded the kids when they saw them. It was like, and a couple of them who had been pretty much on every meeting, like a Weston McKinney and so on, they actually were like went up to the designers afterwards and were like, "Thank you, these are great. We love these." Like they were, and then the Nike people, once the players had left the room, was like, "Okay, that's a first. We've never had the kids be applauded." So, so yeah, they were clearly happy with the outcome.
Oh, great. I mean, it's always great to know
Yeah,
that we like something that they like as well.
yeah,
Let's shift to just the home jersey for starters.
sure.
I'm sure U.S. Soccer has heard the calls of people like me for years about the Waldo jersey. Bring it back. I'm the president and CEO and co-founder of the Waldo should be the jersey in the club. So with that in mind, you have produced something as close to it as you've had
Yeah,
since
yeah,
2012.
yeah.
How did you arrive at the undulating flag design, and what do you hope it represents?
Yeah, this one really was more about exactly what you said, this sort of undulating flag piece of it. So again, it's the stripes kit, and it was funny as we were reviewing and the players especially. Like I said, there was like I think they came back with like four options of just somewhat differences. And at one point, one of the players said, "You do know that the fans are going to reference Waldo on this one," and they were like, "Yeah, we know it's fine." I mean, anything that we came out with that was that kind of, large red and white stripe was definitely gonna. So it wasn't that they overtly went into it designing to be that,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're doing a red and white stripe kit like that, it's bound to invoke that memory, right? So they were fine with it and everybody understood that. I think the reason the plan, it was very interesting because they had versions of it where the striping was more straight. Didn't have that sort of waving flag almost feel to it, right? And they chose that one specifically because of that. They liked the idea that it really felt like, a flag that was in the wind moving type thing. They liked the movement of it, right? And so did we, frankly. And the other comment that was very, and I can't, I think it was some of the players that commented, there was like, because in some of the interviews ahead of time, they talked about that when they come into the stands, they love it when they know where our fans are, right? Like if it's a mixed crowd, which it's going to be, they like to be able to see the jersey. And they were commenting like, that's going to accomplish that one. Like that, if we get a bunch of the fans wearing that jersey, there's going to be no doubt, where our fans are in the stands. So they were kind of laughing about that. They really loved that aspect of it as well.
And with it being the World Cup, of obviously, I remember 1994 and how
Yeah.
bold those jerseys were. Was there
Yeah.
was there part of that being part of the process of saying, let's go with something that people are going to remember?
Yeah, yes, there definitely was. And the other interesting conversation that was happening both from the Nike design POV, especially, but also the players is they loved the combination of the two. So it was this one is going to be the overtly rah rah, we're the USA wavy flag thing, right? And then they liked the fact that the other one is much more subtle, right? You have to, when you see it on the pitch, you're not going to see all that subtle. You have to be up close, right, to see those stars. And they loved that, right? They loved that it had this sort of like I said, that you have to be up close to really get all the detailing. The other thing they loved about it and what they had sort of, like I said, briefed in when they got into the details of actual designs was we love one that first it's more like wearable with a pair of jeans for with friends on a Friday night, right? Like it's less game day only. Now, I think there's a lot of people who would wear that striped kit, right? Because they're just loud
Mm-hmm.
and proud. But they loved that mix.
And I mean, you took a couple of the questions I had on the away jersey side, which is
Yeah,
great
yeah,
that you brought that into it. And I like again, you have something. You have the bold, you have the kind of the subtle, if you will,
yeah.
but still flowing in this theme of stars and stripes. Was there a
Yeah.
talk on the away jersey of having the stars in white, or was that the focus as being, let's make it just blue. Let's make it where you have one where you can see it from a mile away, and you have one where you
Exactly.
need to be right in front of somebody's face.
Yeah, that was exactly right. It was the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other question I have about just the release of these jerseys, and obviously they're
Hmm.
coming out in March, World
Yep.
Cup's 3 months away.
Yep.
There's traditionally usually the home team or host nation usually releases their jerseys a bit earlier than everybody else to try and get a jump start on sales. And again, like you mentioned, to get as many people wearing the jersey around and getting that kind of visual excitement going. Was there any talk about
Yeah.
releasing maybe the home jersey a little bit earlier in the process as opposed to now?
No, we ended up really feeling like, and again, I think this was from a Nike just across the board cadence as well, that they really wanted to release them together. And I think I mean, there may have been some early discussions around it, but this is where we've been netted out for, the last year. This was the game plan to say, no, we're really gonna wait until we've got and bring them out together.
So with this jersey release, obviously, look, I love jerseys. I have a billion of them. Not everybody's like me. I can admit that. And there's some people where the $100 or whatever price point for a jersey for up because it's just not in their budget.
Yeah,
But usually you guys have jerseys and other merchandise that
yeah,
kind of fit all price points. Tell me a little bit about some of
yeah.
the other stuff that people can expect to see that they can again wear alongside a jersey.
Yeah, there will be plenty for people to choose from. So, to your point, obviously, pinnacle pieces are the jerseys, but we have over 60 some licensees now because we've really grown our portfolio. So there will be, apparel and accessories. There will be hard lines, so toys and things, and there's going to be major displays at the Walmarts of the world, the Targets of the world, so, right, with very accessible price points for t-shirts and headwear and jackets and so on. So there will be plenty for people to choose from.
Are there going to be activations at these upcoming matches, both for the men and women?
Yeah, so the men will debut the jerseys first, right, at,
Mm-hmm.
at their March send-off matches, and then the women will wear them as well right after them, but the men will debut them. So we'll make sure that they're scheduled to wear the light kit for one of the matches and the dark kit for the other match. So yeah,
And
they'll be the ones to have them first on the pitch.
and I assume that at these games, obviously fans will be able to purchase all of them like they will,
Yeah,
the retailers that they have so far.
yeah, yeah,
Great.
yeah, yeah.
So, the last couple questions I have for you is
Hmm.
we're obviously, again, 3 months away from the World Cup.
Yeah.
These jerseys come out again. For me, they signify the start of okay, we're almost there.
Yeah,
For
get
you, it's
ready.
probably the end of a long process, and now focus on another long
Yeah,
process that's currently happening. But
yeah.
is 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 there a way for people to understand what when wearing that jersey, what it means, what it means to
Hmm.
the players, what it means to U.S. soccer, what it just means for the overall ethos of building excitement for this World Cup that we are hosting for the first time on the men's side since '94.
Yeah, for sure. So again, going back to who all is involved in the design process, once we get to the release process, the group here at the Federation broadens very much so. So all of our people that manage our social channels, so every storytelling avenue will have that, right? It'll have the storytelling behind the jerseys. They'll put out snippets of, how they came about and what the meaning is behind all the little details, right? Because the jerseys are filled with details, and there isn't a single
Mm-hmm.
detail that goes on a jersey that there isn't a reason it's there, right? From the
Mm-hmm.
inside, hits to every last, positioning. So they will definitely have all that storytelling out on our channels, and then so will Nike, obviously, when they release it. So there will be plenty of places where the fans can fully understand and do as deep a dive as they want to into the backstory.
Last question I have for you
Hmm.
is one that I've asked a lot of people,
Yeah.
either on this show in person. I think about it daily.
Hmm.
And I want to ask you, what do you hope the legacy of
Mm.
this World Cup, what do you hope that will be for soccer in this country long after the lights go out? The trophy hopefully is sitting at the National Training Center alongside the women's World Cup trophies. But what do
Right.
you hope that legacy from this World Cup will be?
I think if you think back to when we first started even talking to like all of our retail partners about this, gosh, 18 months ago, one of the things that we talked about was how seminal that 94, World Cup was. I mean, when you think about it, that, and to this day, because we did our fact checking on this deeply, that is still the largest sporting event, period, in the world, right? By
Correct.
definition, World Cups are
Mhm.
large because just the nature of the tournament. But that one still holds all the records. And we had no MLS, right? Because that was before MLS. It was the start of MLS. There was really no NWSL the way it is today. So just the level of soccer that kicked off, right? That created. And so we're starting from a place where, there is a deep following of soccer. And so the jumping off from this tournament, we expect to be, equally seminal, right? It's going to be, I think that again, there's always going to be a portion of the fans that really jump on board for just these big events, right? They don't
Mhm.
necessarily then stay deeply with us. But then there is going to be a portion, just like happened, back then, that comes in and goes, wow, they just get hooked, right? They get hooked on the sport. And that's part of the reason why, obviously, that and the MLS, NWSL, USL, the whole ecosystem is members of the federation, right? We're all in this together. So the whole idea is that yes, there's going to be this just massive energy while the tournament is going on. And when the oxygen leaves the room, the tournament is over, anybody who hasn't already, we want them turning right to their local, MLS, NWSL, USL club and saying, "Ugh, I need to buy tickets. I got to go see this. I got to keep this up."
So actually, your answer gave me one more question, and it's about again the timeline of this because you kind
Yeah,
of mentioned all the things that can come out of this World Cup, but also
yeah,
we have a Women's World Cup next year in Brazil. We
yeah.
have the
Very
Olympics in
friendly
2
time
years.
zone, right?
We
Yeah,
have Olympics in
yeah,
2 years here.
yeah,
I know a lot of times you guys like to put out tentpole jerseys for those events.
yeah.
So how will this process and this completion of this jersey process
Mhm.
help you build into the one you're undergoing right now, I'm sure, for the women, and then also the one that you're probably
Yeah.
undertaking right now for those Olympics in a couple of years?
Yeah, exactly. So yes, the 27 kits are already well underway. And again, that was, the women's players being deeply involved. And that storytelling is, sort of again around their history, and they're obviously heading into Brazil. And then the storytelling that we've looked at for the Olympics is, again, I think the one of the conversations we've been having with Nike again is, listen, being back on home soil again makes it very different. So again, keeping that in mind as they start to design, because there is a difference, but when you're on your home territory, there just is, right? And I think the expectation is such, from the fans, not just the players. And so I think that you're right. This sort of, and then, we've got the bid in and it's looking good for 31. So, it's like these next handful of years are just going to be wonderfully insane, right, for the sport. So,
Well, here's some more caffeine in your future and more money in my wallet so I can buy all this stuff you guys are putting out. Maribeth, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about these jerseys. I know you're really
yeah,
excited about it. We are as well,
yeah,
and looking forward to seeing them on the field in a
yeah.
couple weeks.
Same. Love it. So nice to talk to you.
And once again, I'd like to thank Maribeth Towers for joining me to speak about these jerseys. It's always fascinating for me to get the look inside the process of the jersey. I love that part of seeing what happens from the drawing board to the jersey actually appearing on a shelf at a store near you. And one thing I thought was great from speaking with her was learning about the players' feedback and their ability to participate in this process. As she mentioned, this is the third jersey in a row now where players have been consulted for feedback. And I like that the women's national team this year was kind of saying, it's the men's World Cup. Let them be the voice. And for next year's jersey in 2027, the women are going to get a jersey for the women's World Cup. And the men's national team were like, let them have it. This is their World Cup. They should have the voice for the design of that jersey for the players. So should they qualify, it will be a jersey that again represents them. I like that camaraderie. I like the investment that these players have in this process. It's something that's been needed for a long time, in my opinion. I'd argue that fans should also be consulted by U.S. Soccer as well in this process. Hi, if you want to consult me, I'm here. Let's talk. But because just like some of us dream of seeing the stands full of U.S. fans wearing the same jersey and having this identity, it's clear the players want to see that too. I mean, Maribeth mentioned that these players say they want to look in the stands and see where the U.S. fans are and not have to squint to try and find them because the jersey doesn't really scream, hey, this is the U.S. section. They want to see the support visually as well as audibly. And I really like that. And I'm glad that that was taken into account during this process. I also like that they decided that the home jersey should be bold, while the away jersey is a more muted approach and still ties into that stars and stripes theme. It makes it where there's something for everyone to enjoy. Some people like the muted looks. I've been clear. I want bold. I want the hoops. I want the Waldo type of jerseys. And so the home jersey is for me, for sure. And if you want a jersey that long after this World Cup is done, people will still remember the visuals. That's the home jersey for me. Just like we do the denim jersey from 1994, and we talked about that last week. The emotions that jersey evokes from that 94 World Cup, I would love for the home jersey for this World Cup to do the same thing. We want something to remember, and the home jersey especially is something that will be remembered. The other part about that is winning in this jersey is also going to help. So we hope the mantra remains look good, feel good, play good this summer at the World Cup. What do you guys think of the jerseys? Chime in online on the article for this at Stars and Stripes FC or on our Blue Sky and Twitter accounts. We're 3 months away from the start of the World Cup. We now have the jersey that will be the visual backdrop of our national teams for the next couple of years. So that will do it for episode 178 of the USA Soccer Cast. Thank you for listening. Remember, you can find us on Blue Sky, Twitter, and YouTube. Follow us on all of those sites at USA Soccer Cast. Subscribe, rate, and review our shows. It helps us get in front of new people and is greatly appreciated. Tell your friends about us. And then finally, head to linktree.com/USA SoccerCast to check out our affiliate links and our stimulus store. We have everything you need to watch the beautiful game and follow your teams. And using those links also helps support the show. We'll talk to you again soon, y'all. Peace.